Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
He's quite a piece of work.
Hour 2, Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We're working towards the weekend. Chris Blair with us in 15 minutes talking Tigers, LSU in Oxford for the weekend to take on the Ole Miss Rebels. Of course, our Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Let's talk a little Saints here. The fun thing to talk about is the first round. The Saints are picking 8th, and that's a spot where you feel like you can get a game changer. You can get an edge rusher to be lethal off the edge to close games with a pass rush. You can get a big play wide receiver. You can get an anchor on your offensive line or a guy like Jeremiah Love who could transform the running game. Of course, quarterback's always in play in the top 10 as well. Like the 8th pick is more fun to talk about, right? But it's not the only pick you have. And we know that the Saints have to be hitting throughout the draft like we think they did last year. And I saw a mock draft and I saw a visit story. It kind of piqued my interest about something that's a little bit on the back burner, but something that we'll talk about in more detail as we get closer to draft time, which is 2 weeks away. And that's the Saints' second-round pick, and there's a specific name that is starting to bubble up because he did go on one of the Saints' top 30 visits, and it's a guy at wide receiver. Now, it's fun to talk about the Saints getting Carnell Tate from Ohio State. Great route runner, catches the ball with his hands, physical presence. There's a reason he's in the top 15 of like everybody's big board. That would be a really good pick for the Saints to me. There's a reason people like Jordan Tyson. He's long and rangy, makes big plays, huge production in college. I love Jordan Tyson. Mekhi Lemon. I watched a lot of tape of him before LSU played USC. He's gotten better since then. He's a weapon. There's a reason he's going to go in the first round. Those would be good picks for the Saints, absolutely. But what if the Saints don't address wide receiver in the first round? What if they go with an edge rusher? What if they go with Sonny Styles? What if they go with Caleb Downs? What if they go somewhere else and not wide receiver? Because we know they have to address that position. You're not going to run it back with just the guys that you've got, add Polk to the mix, get Vele healthy, and go. Like, that's not enough. They got to do more. What if you do that in the second round? The Saints are sitting there, pick 42, early the second round, and there's a name that makes a lot of sense. And it's Chris Bell from Louisville. Hand up, I don't watch a lot of Louisville football. Never heard of Chris Bell before yesterday afternoon. But I read the story. I looked at the stat sheet. I saw that he went on a visit. Said, okay, let's do a little look at Chris Bell. I like what I see from Chris Bell. Why? Well, for one, he did play with Tyler Shuck 2 years ago. That doesn't count for everything, but if you ask people in Cincinnati about quarterbacks and receivers who played together previously, they would probably give it pretty high marks. Joe and Jamar doing okay. Now, those are top 10 picks. Those are top 6 picks. These are second-round picks, so the talent level is a little different. But there's something to a rapport between a quarterback and receiver. I don't think anyone would dispute that. But what else about Chris Bell? Well, he's 6'2" and 220 pounds. That is a big physical dude. For comparison's sake, Chris Olave is 6 feet tall, and he's listed at 187. You're talking about 33 pounds and 2 inches on Chris Olave. That is a different dude than your right now number one wide receiver. He's big. He weighs more than Michael Thomas did in his prime with the Saints. This is a physical presence, a big body that Tyler Shuck has thrown to. Well, what did he do with Shuck in 2024? I'll tell you. 43 catches, 737 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Really good year. Eye-popping, Biletnikoff Award winner? No, but a very good year. And it should be noted that yards per catch number is 17.1. For a guy at 6'2", 220 to average north of 17 yards per catch, that says something to me. Now, Shuck left, and then Louisville goes to Miller Moss, and Bell improved significantly. 72 catches, 917 yards, 6 touchdowns for Bell in his final year at Louisville. 72 catches, 917 yards, 6 touchdowns. So very productive at Louisville. I think that's fair to say. Great size. I think that's fair to say. Now, here's where you reach the fork in the road. He tore his ACL at the end of the year. You could say, well, he's coming off an ACL tear. Is he the same player he once was? Like, I don't know. That can be damaging to a wide receiver to tear up your knee. You could say it that way, and I'm not a doctor. I would support that. You could also say, well, if he didn't tear his ACL, maybe he's the 23rd pick in this draft instead of the 42nd pick or 43rd pick in this draft. Maybe the injury in he couldn't run at the combine. He got invited, couldn't run. His target to return to action is July, which is when training camp heats up. Maybe his injury knocks him down to us, and we get a value because of that. I don't know which one of those is right, but you could listen to either one of them. And you can't be promised today that he's going to be the exact same physically as he was. You can bet on it. He's young. Medicine's great. Guys return from ACLs literally every year. You have him on a visit. You let your medical staff take a look. But you're not going to get to send him through extensive workouts before this draft. You just that time is out because he's got the hurt knee. But I like this thought. I'm not going to fault the Saints one solitary second if they go with one of those 3 receivers that I listed, Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, or Mekhi Lemon, with that top 10 pick. You take one of those guys at 8, I think that's really good. You go edge rusher down the line, great. You go safety or linebacker down the line, awesome. You did a good job in the draft evaluating last year. I'll trust you to do that this year, great. As I've said before, this is less to me about Hunt Palmer evaluating the player. It's more about evaluating the Saints' plan. And if you think there's an edge rusher or Caleb Downs there at number 8 and you want to go there and then you land on Chris Bell in the second round, I like this. I think this works. And I think you look at a wide receiver group that's got Olave, who's proven he can go over 1,000 yards, done it multiple times, proven he's got a rapport with Shuck. He's got to stay healthy. We know that story. You got to pay him. We know that. But Olave there, you add in Chris Bell. Vele looked good in his limited time. And then you see the Saints are obviously high enough on Polk to trade for him when he wasn't playing. That's a pretty good 4-man group to see what you can add on the back end of it with an undrafted free agent or somebody that you bring into camp or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to analyze the 6th and 7th wide receiver here. You give me a good group of 4 with a veteran behind it that you can plug in as a 4th option with some special teams chops. Okay, that's fine. But I think a second-round pick, if you don't go wide receiver, which I saw that Kat Terrell on ESPN.com, who and we've had Kat on the show many times, work with her at the Revel, and she does a great job covering the Saints. She feels like it's like a 40% chance the Saints go wide receiver with pick 1. It's not better than 50%, but it's up. It's close to a coin toss. If they don't, this is a name I like. I like the idea. Again, I'm not going to go into the scouting report on Chris Bell and how well he sinks into his hips and how well he gets into those out routes and how well he catches the ball with his hands and whether or not the breakaway speed is there. That's all on the tape, and that's for the Saints to evaluate. But I like the size, the frame, the production in college, the rapport with Shuck, and potentially the fact that you're stealing a maybe first-round pick because he tore his ACL. And if he's completely healthy, which he should be, by the middle of the season, can work out in July, maybe you get a bit of a steal. I like the idea of this. I think it works, and I think it makes a ton of sense. So, again, we're going to talk more about the first-round pick over the next 2 weeks than we are what they do in rounds 2, 3, 4. And be frank, we'll never talk about what they're going to do in the 6th round. I don't know. I don't know who's there in the 6th round. I don't know who they're going to take. I'll evaluate that when it happens. We're not breaking down 6th-round picks here before they happen. That's Ross Jackson's job at LouisianaSports.net. And by the way, he's awesome at it. So I'll lean on him for that. First 2 rounds, I'll give you thoughts on that, and I think Chris Bell makes a ton of sense here. Jordan, how do you feel about that?
I like Chris Bell. I'm more on the side that as long as you address the receiver position, you can't go into this saying like, all right, well, we're going to go out there with Jalen Polk and Trey Harris. I mean, Trey, whatever his name is.
We got Mason Tipton out
Mason
there.
Tipton,
He's
camp
fast.
superstar. You know, I'm not doing that this year. As long as you address the position, that's all fine and dandy.
I'm really excited when I come in here for that first time in late July and hear about this catch Mason Tipton made at camp, and Jordan's going to turn my mic off.
Yeah, I'm going to be like, yeah, man, Mason Tipton, 3 years in a row, he's the best receiver we got at camp every year. And then the season comes, and he ends the year with like 3 catches. So
6 catches, 28 yards.
You know,
Mason
and
Tipton.
What a drop. I had to drop in. So it's like, you know, it's as long as you address the position. I like Chris Bell. And it's a 2nd-round pick, so you're not really – it's like, okay, it's an important pick, but it's not like the end of the world if it doesn't hit. But at the same time, he kind of reminds me of like a A.J. Brown. He's like you said, he's 220 pounds.
He's a big dude.
That's huge for a receiver. He's got that big body like A.J. Brown type of receiver who was a 2nd-round pick. So it'll be cool. And I'm kind of a sucker for guys that are openly like, I want to come to New Orleans. I want to play with that guy. I want to play with Tyler Shuck. So that's why I'm not a GM. Everybody's saying, oh, I want to play here. I'm drafting. You want to play for the Saints? I'll take you. So as long as you get a receiver, I'm happy.
Makes sense there. I think they may take one in round 1, but that's a name to circle for round 2, Chris Bell. We'll come back and talk to the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com is the website, FabryChevrolet.com. You know, that spot has been a Chevy dealership for quite some time, but it came under new ownership October 1st. That's when the Fabry family took over, and they are so excited about that point in St. Francisville. I've told y'all over the last couple of weeks, my wife and I went up to St. Francisville for a little weekend for our 5th anniversary, and it's just a quick drive. It's right there. So if you're in Baton Rouge and you hear me say St. Francisville, well, how far is it? It's not far. You just zip up to North Baton Rouge on 110, hop over, and Highway 61 is right there. And the customer service you're going to get, the selection of vehicles that they've got on the lot, and the experience that you're going to have when you buy that new vehicle with the Fabry family is going to make it well worth it. So just go check out the inventory online first if you'd rather do that. The whole thing is right there at FabryChevrolet.com. You're looking for Tahoes, Suburbans, got Silverados, they're all there. Looking for GMC Sierra, maybe looking for a Yukon or a Denali, they're all there. And if you see something you might want to get behind the wheel of, go see them in St. Francisville or check them out, again, online at FabryChevrolet.com. Fabry Chevrolet GMC.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Time now to talk some Tigers with the voice of the Tigers. Chris Blair gives us some time on the Jim's Firearms hotline on Thursdays. Chris, how are you?
Doing well, Hunt. Hope you're doing well.
Doing quite well. Quite a Sunday, an Easter Sunday for the Tigers in Knoxville. What was that one like on the mic?
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, it was good. I mean, it was an important game. You know, talking to Jay on Monday night, you know, he said, hey, look, I know we look at it, speaking of us, meaning you and I and fans, as a series win. He said, I looked at Sunday's game, you know, as one of the most important games of the season, for the momentum, for being on the road, for being, you know, again, against a talented Tennessee team. I know they don't have the wins and losses that they would like, but still, all in all, he just felt that was an important game. So for them to be able to, you know, fight their way through it, again, a weekend of costly errors, not as many free passes. Tennessee had to kind of earn what they got. But it was fun to watch the guys come back, and what a day for Cade Arambidi. I mean, I've told the story a couple of times this week. We got the note after his 3rd home run. The no Tiger had ever hit a 4th home run in a single game, and I just kept thinking, is that possible? And all the guys and all the names were going through my head. And then when Cade hit the grand slam to really bust the game wide open, I let Billy Franquez let everybody know, because I knew if Bill knew it was good, because that stat still is amazing to me.
That is, it's nuts, and it was an incredible weekend. I mean, LSU hit 11 home runs. You were there. Like, a lot of them would have been out of every stadium. Lindsey Nelson is the most homer-friendly ballpark in the conference. Like, what did you make of LSU's power surge over the weekend?
Well, I mean, again, I think you're right. I mean, out of the 11, they were the majority. I'll put it that way. I'll take the split it in half, and I'll take the over on home runs that were true home runs. Yeah. But again, there were a couple that were that are short porches. There's no doubt about it. But I mean, that's the dimensions, and goodness knows Tennessee's taking advantage of that. Not so much this year; their power's down, but in years past. So good for LSU. Again, balls were hit extremely hard. You know, most of the time there's not too many 75-mile-an-hour hit home runs. You know, whether you hit it 330 or 415. So I just like the fact that LSU was that aggressive. They got some good bats on the ball, and hopefully they're going to be able to carry that over because they weren't able to do so in the midweek.
They were not. I was right there next to you, and it was not a pretty sight for the last 3 innings of that ball game for the Tigers against Bethune-Cookman. But the good news for LSU is they're going to send Kason Evans and William Schmidt out there who did not pitch against Bethune-Cookman. You know, I'm curious your thoughts on those two guys last weekend in Knoxville. Neither line score is going to blow you away, but we understand that how small that ballpark is. How do you feel like those two guys are progressing thus far?
Yeah, I mean, I think they both, you know, when they left the game, LSU had a chance to win. And again, you're right. Their numbers on that particular weekend did not wow you over from a strikeout standpoint. But they were able to produce outs and get a little deeper, which certainly bode well for Sunday's game when they had to have, you know, a pretty well-stacked bullpen. So, I mean, I think when you look at it, you know, it depends on how you break it down. You want to break it down individual games, sure, there's going to be better games for both Kason Evans and William Smith than what we saw on Friday and Saturday in Knoxville. But when you look at it in a totality of a weekend and 3 opportunities for SEC wins, I think they certainly did what it needed to be done from a pitching standpoint. And I would say the same thing about Gavin Guidry. I mean, Gavin, I thought, was a big part of that comeback and shutdown in Game 3, and yet his numbers aren't going to knock you over. But he threw strikes, and they limited all the free passes and hit bad pitches and walks, and for that matter, even wild pitches. And to me, that's the formula. And it wasn't the formula on Tuesday night, which I'm sure the coach and team have already addressed, but it'll certainly have to be the case again this weekend. And maybe this is a weekend team, and you can look at it a couple of ways. And I know the team talked about it yesterday. You've got some really heavy midweek losses that are going to lay around your neck come postseason time. So the only thing you got to do now is if maybe this is an SEC weekend kind of team, and they can take care of business even with some of those previous losses. But again, it's not going to be easy because you got to win like this weekend on the road against Ole Miss.
This team is a team that feels like they got some bumps and bruises. Stanfield's been dealing with it for a while. Obviously, Dardar on Tuesday, Cerna back on Sunday. What's your sense of how the grind of the season is treating the boys?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about that because of the 3 names you just mentioned. I mean, when you look at the games this season, when the Tigers have had success, especially obviously in SEC play, I mean, those 3 guys have factored alone. They haven't been everything, but they've factored. You know, I think obviously the grind, you're going to have those bumps and bruises. It comes down to, are we talking missing a game or 2, Cerna maybe DHing and Aaron Beatty catching 2? You know, I mean, are those the questions we're having, or is it questions of will they be in the lineup for 2 to 3 games? Because again, I think right now, every opportunity to win is a must. If you want all the goals that were laid out before the season, there's a smaller margin for error. I'm not going to put it in must-win categories yet because that's asking a lot, but the margin for error is getting slimmer.
No doubt. Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers, with us, joins us on Thursdays, LSU and Ole Miss over the weekend. You can find it on the LSU Sports Radio Network. How'd you feel Mason Braun looked at first base on Tuesday?
I think you put it best on the broadcast. I mean, there's going to be a little give and take for that position, but I think once you do that give and take, compare that to anybody else that could play that position, the upside of being a true freshman and a really world-class athlete, do you take some of that? I think so, because, again, when you line that up, just from the defensive standpoint, and you line up what he has done, you know, from an offensive standpoint, I think at least for the foreseeable future, short term, if nothing else, I thought he certainly passed the test. A couple of big plays. Nothing that he did hurt the Tigers in the big scheme of things in that game. But again, I think right now I would have a hard time arguing anybody else basically at this point.
I'm with you on that one. How do you think the Tigers are going to be received in Oxford? I have a feeling I know how it's going to be in September. What about this weekend?
Yeah, well, I told everybody on the flight up today. I said, I got a sneak peek of things when I was here with basketball, and I was only here about 38 hours. But no, it's. We went to dinner the night before the basketball game, and it was Kermit Davis, John Brady, and when you're sitting at that table, it was pretty easy for them to figure out kind of what was going on. And there were some comments at the restaurant, all in jest, I would say. But yeah, there's no question about it. Swayze's going to be raucous, and it's different now. To paraphrase our head football coach, it certainly is different when you come up here to Oxford now.
Well, have a great 3 calls. Be safe coming back. We'll see you next week.
You got it.
That is Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers from Oxford, Mississippi, LSU and Ole Miss, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from Swayze Field. Of course, as is tradition, you'll have the Friday night game between LSU and Ole Miss. First pitch at 6:30, so you can find pregame on Eagle 98.1 at 6 o'clock. Late game on Saturday, 4 o'clock, so you can find that at 3:30 pregame. And then on Sunday, earlier start at 1:30 from Swayze Field in Oxford. Big weekend for the Tigers. It's really important. If they can find a way, somehow, some way to get 2 games this weekend, and I'll break it down a little bit more in depth tomorrow, but if they can find a way to get 2, you'll be okay. You'll be at the midway point. You'll be at 8-7, and that's okay. You're just going to have to play a little bit better in the second half. And make no mistake, you've got 2 of your most difficult series of the year in the second half of the season. At Mississippi State and at Georgia are not going to be a whole lot of fun. But you do have South Carolina. You do have some home series with Texas A&M. You do have a home series with Florida. So there are more home games than away games. Just the away games are very difficult in the second half. But again, you play 3 road series in the first half, just 2 in the second half. If you can get to the halfway point at over 500, you're okay. You're not in a great spot right now, but as I mentioned yesterday, you've got 18 conference games left and 4 non-conference games left. The conference games are going to dominate your metrics moving forward. It's 18 of 22 games you have left to play. So, and that's not to mention the SC tournament, which is potentially 1, 2, 3 more games that are against conference opponents that are going to have RPIs in the top 20, maybe the top 10. So there's a lot of time, and you've kept your head above water. That's the point I made on Monday when I wrote in the column around the horn on Monday. Like, no one here is jumping for joy and throwing parties over 6-6. That's not necessarily how things work around here. But your head's above water. You're okay. You've just got to keep swimming. You had to get the scuba gear out 2 years ago. You're okay right now. You can do it on your own, but you gotta get going this weekend and try to find somehow, some way to get 2 wins in a tough place to win a series. And that is, of course, in Oxford, Mississippi at Swayze Field. Chris Blair will be on the call for all of it. We appreciate him for giving us a little bit of time. Step aside, come back, 30 minutes to go. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Our friends at Ochsner want to remind you there are different options for your care. So visit their symptom checker online at ochsner.org/findcare. If you're looking for your primary care doctor, that's to deal with your annual checkups, maybe some mild asthma, moderate chest pain, maybe monitoring your blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar. That's primary care. And you can schedule that at www.ochsner.org/brprimary for your primary care. Urgent care is more urgent. It's right there in the name. You're talking about lacerations, urinary pain, earaches, fevers, flu-like symptoms, rashes, skin irritations. That's when you need urgent care. So it's good to mention that walk-ins are welcome there. They have extended hours, and you can find a location at ochsner.org/urgent care. And then you've got the highest level, obviously, which is emergency care. You got to go to the ER there or call 911. If you've got severe chest pain, you've got severe bleeding, you've got severe head trauma, or maybe sudden vision loss, you need to call 911 and make sure that's taken care of immediately. They've got 24/7 virtual care options at Ochsner, so you can schedule them online through My Ochsner. They've got convenient follow-ups, routine care, and then look, you can download the My Ochsner app at www.ochsner.org/myo. An additional resource with Ochsner, they're on call 1-800-231-5257. You can find them online at ochsner.org.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Easy Golf Club. They're on Segan at Perkins. It's a pretty big golf weekend, right? Of course, you're going to be watching all weekend. You can play it. Not the real thing, but you can play it on the simulator at Swing Easy Golf Club. I've done it. It's a blast. You can play it from either tee box. You can hit your drives, those second shots, play the famed holes, card a score. So if you want to watch the golf tournament this weekend and play the course at the same time, you can do it at your individual bay at Swing Easy Golf Club. You turn on the television right there, fire out the simulator, bring some friends. They'll bring you a whole bucket full of ice and cold beer, seltzers, and have yourself an afternoon. It's a great way to watch the golf tournament and incorporate some activity as well. Swing Easy Golf Club is on Segan at Perkins. They've got memberships that you can use corporate as well. Get a corporate membership, entertain clients there, go at lunch. It's a great place to hang out, great place to socialize, great place to entertain, great place to watch the tournament this week and hit some golf shots at one of the most famous courses in the world on the simulator. Swing Easy Golf Club. Find them online at swingeasygcbr.com. All right, let's hear from Jay Johnson yesterday as LSU gets ready to play Ole Miss. He hit on a number of different talking points. The first is maybe the most important. It's also the shortest soundbite we have, but it's about Cooper Moore and his status moving forward.
Started his throwing program, and he will not pitch this weekend. My hope is that he will be available in some capacity next weekend.
That would be great. It's obvious, very obvious, that LSU has no substitute for Cooper Moore. There is no one that LSU can turn to realistically. Anyone on the roster could theoretically do it, but realistically to get 15 outs in the SEC. Like Cowan can do it, but you're going to use him hopefully on Friday or Saturday. Like that's the hope because he's there to close out a win. And the first time LSU gets a chance to win in a game that's less than 7-run advantage, Cowan's going to pitch. So he can't pitch as a starter on Sunday. Now, you get blown out on Friday and Saturday, Cowan can start on Sunday. You win both of those games in 10-run rule fashion, he can start on Sunday. Or if you split them in 10-run fashion, maybe. But the odds are that one of those games is going to be fairly close and that Cowan's going to be asked to do that. So LSU can't, they don't have the guy to fill in for Cooper. They can't even find somebody to give him 2 innings on the midweek against Bethune-Cookman or Nichols or McNeese, much less 5 innings against Ole Miss or A&M or Mississippi State. So Cooper Moore hopefully can be ready to roll the last 3 weeks of SEC play because this is week 5 and he's not pitching. So week 6, hopefully, as Jay said, in some capacity, week 6. Week 7, I would hope would be advanced. And then 8, 9, 10, maybe he's ready to go 5 innings. Like that's optimistic. But as y'all know with me, I am the most conservative when it comes to pitchers returning to their normal form. Now, Cade Townsend at Ole Miss has returned to that. He missed a little bit of time. They had to clean something up in his arm. They have, and he's ready to go. And hopefully that's the same with Cooper Moore, but I'll just need to see it before I predict it, right? And so that's where I am on Cooper Moore. More injury situations. Chris Stanfield ran into the wall in left field on Tuesday night and banged up that already injured hand. Seth Dardar, I was on the call, just looked awful sliding into second base. He slid late, looked like he blew out everything in his knee. Did not. It was his ankle they were working on. He stayed in the game for a little bit. So an update on those 2 guys who were banged up on Tuesday.
Neither of them broke anything, so that's a real positive. Now, what they can do, I don't know yet because they got beat up pretty good in the 2 instances.
Obviously, you felt like they were going to be feeling it the next day. So LSU has some options that aren't as good in those 2 spots. Like you can play Caraway at second base. He's a reasonable defender, probably better than Dardar at second. Not great, but reasonable. And he does have some power in his bat if he runs into one. It's a step down from Dardar, who I think is swinging the bat great. I told you he was hitting .444 over the last 8 games entering Tuesday's game. So you take a step back at second base. In the outfield, you can do a few things. We know that. Mason Braun can go out there, depending on what you want to do at first base. You can put William Patrick out there, who is not hit at this level, but is a really, really good outfielder. Daniel Harden pinch hit on Tuesday. He's probably the option you would look to. I don't think they'll put Tanner Reeves back out there. You take a step back from Stanfield. We already saw that. We saw that when Stanfield missed a month. LSU took a step back. So that's not ideal for the weekend, and we'll see what those guys can do. Jay didn't rule them out, said they didn't break anything, but obviously said that there is not a great solution there right now. There's nothing definitive right now, and they're not guaranteed to play on Friday night. So we'll move over to first base, where a lot of people are talking, and you saw Mason Braun there on Tuesday. What does Jay think about the plan at first base this weekend?
This is the best pitching staff we'll have faced, no question about it. Yeah, I thought those 3 or 4 guys from Tennessee are going to the big leagues, but in totality, it's a really good pitching staff. They have an offensive style. They do have a lot of left-handed hitters. The ball's going to be put in play, on the ground to that side, so that will become, the defense becomes important, the offensive matchup becomes important. All of that will play into it.
So you're going to look at the staff matchup. And I'll tell you that on Friday, you're facing Hunter Elliott, who is a 3-quarter veteran left-hander. Mason Braun is a freshman left-handed hitter. That's just not a great matchup for him. Now, I will also say this. Hunter Elliott's best pitch is his changeup. So maybe you neutralize that with a left-handed bat. Maybe Eddie Yaman is the guy that you play. If you want to get right-handed bats in there, you might play Yaman at catcher. Maybe Cerna can play first base. We'll see. John Pearson can play first base. You have some options. It's not all great, but it sounds like that bite didn't sound like it was first base dependent, but they were asking about first base, and he was suggesting it's just going to depend on what the matchup dictates that we do. That's kind of plans, and that's kind of looking at different positions. Jay was actually also asked just about the team's relative struggles, and of course they had their struggles on Tuesday, losing to Bethune-Cookman.
I think we've been on a pretty good run with some types of things. The non-conference record is something like we've taken great pride in. Just maybe some difficulty of getting a player past a certain threshold of things. And that's always under construction anyways and never taken for granted. Like, we structure our program around consistency, though, like mentally, physically, training. And we haven't gotten that, and we just got to keep pushing forward to it.
I'm going to give my opinion on that answer, on the struggles, and guys not passing a threshold. That, to me, is the pitching staff on Tuesdays and Sundays. I think he probably thought, and I'm putting words in his mouth, this is not something I've got from sources, this is my opinion. I think he probably thought that at this point in the calendar that Reagan Ricken and Marcos Paz would be able to go out there on a Tuesday and throw 3 good innings against a Sunbelt American Southland SWAC team. I think he thought that would be the case. And right now, those guys in starting roles have gone out there in the midweek and sometimes haven't gotten through the first inning, never get through the second inning. Like, you have not passed that threshold where those guys could be that. Same thing kind of goes for Santiago Garcia and Ethan Plog from the left side. At times, like, I'm on the call on Tuesday, Santiago Garcia is pumping 94-mile-an-hour fastballs, snapping off breaking balls. Like, it looks pretty good. But he walked a couple of guys, and he hit a guy, and he gave up a homer, and, like, it's just like, it's in totality, the outing's not great. You just see some of the great stuff throughout the outing. And Ricken's stuff looks like a starter. It looks good. Marcos Paz, 96-mile-an-hour fastball, hammer breaking ball, got out of the first inning in 5 pitches on Tuesday, but can't cross the threshold. Can't count on those guys. Like, neither of those guys has become Kason Evans from last year. And that's a really tall thing to ask. I'm not asking for them to be the national freshman pitcher of the year. But, like, you get what I'm saying. They've just kind of become guys who are middling midweek guys for you. You just haven't crossed that threshold. And that's just something that, I mean, look at Omar Cerna is swinging the bat like a guy who's kind of crossed the threshold. And it's not to suggest that everyone is kind of stuck in neutral, but I think that there are some guys that he thought may perform a little bit better than what they have to this point. And that brings us to the Ole Miss weekend. That brings us to the game against the games against the Rebels this weekend. It's a team that is coming off a nice series win in Gainesville and is a team that has some real ability. They've also got some real flaws. So he talks about the matchup with Ole Miss.
They play good at home. It's a good home field advantage. They have plenty of power. Like, a lot of their guys look like football players. And they impact it when they hit it. Sometimes when that's your approach, strikeouts come along with that. It's just, to me, it just comes down to how well we execute what we're trying to execute. And I feel like Kaysen's really coming along. I feel like Williams coming along. Gavin, Zach, Grant, a couple of the lefties, even some of the guys that pitched last night, that when they execute, they're tough to hit. And so there's probably some opportunity there, but you have to execute to take advantage of it.
Guys look like football players. That's Judd Udemark, Tristan Bissetta. They got some real pop in that lineup. Judd Udemark is likely to go down as the all-time Ole Miss home run leader in his career. So we'll see some real pop in the bats for Ole Miss, and hopefully for LSU's sake, they swing and miss a little bit because they'll do that as well. We'll break down Ole Miss in their entirety coming up on tomorrow's show. We'll see if we can get somebody from Oxford to come on as well to talk about the series, maybe the environment that LSU's walking into come this weekend, because it should be a spicy one there in Swayze Field, and I'm looking forward to watching it all 3 days starting tomorrow. All right, we'll step aside one more time, come back and close things out. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
GoTro's Outdoor Power. GoTrosOnline.com is the website. You can go there, or you can stop by one of their 2 locations, Airline Highway in Baton Rouge and, of course, in Gonzales as well. Family owned and operated for 22 years by the GoTro family. But family owned and operated doesn't mean small, not in the least. They got the largest parts inventory in Louisiana, largest Hustler dealer in the state by far, and also National Hustler Dealer of the Year 2 of the last 3 years. So if you're looking for a zero-turn mower, you're looking for equipment to maintain that lawn, to maintain that property that you have, it's grass cutting season now, for sure. The weather's warm, time to get after it. If you need a new zero-turn mower, go by and see my friends at GoTro's Outdoor Power. They've got financing available. They can get you behind the wheel of a new Hustler mower for $100 a month, which if you're paying somebody to mow your grass, you're probably paying more than that, quite frankly. They're open Monday through Saturday, half day on Saturday, but open 6 days a week. So go by and see them. 2 locations, Airline Highway and in Gonzales. GoTrosOnline.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
One more update from Augusta for you. Sam Burns in the clubhouse. Well, I shouldn't speak too soon. About 8 seconds ago, that statement was proven false. I was going to say he was in the clubhouse with the solo lead. That is not the case now. Sam Burns does have the lead. He is 5 under par. He's been joined in the clubhouse by Rory McIlroy. Both have carded a 67 in the opening round. The defending champion from Northern Ireland joins the Shreveport boy atop the leaderboard at 5 under par. Kirk Kitayama, Jason Day, and Patrick Reed all finished with their rounds at 3 under. They're joined there by Aaron Rye, Justin Rose, and Scotty Scheffler at 3 under. Some tough days out there for a couple of big names who posted some scores you did not really expect to see. Matt Fitzpatrick came in playing very well. He shot 2 over. Colin Morikawa gutting through an injury. He shot 2 over as well. You saw Bubba Watson, past champion, at 4 over, but he was joined there by Bryson DeChambeau, who a lot of folks thought would have a real shot to win. Doesn't appear that is very likely, as he's 9 shots off the pace after 18 holes, and I'm not too sad about it, quite frankly. So that's an update from Augusta National. Sam Burns and Rory McIlroy, pair of 67s, they lead the way at Augusta. I want to remind you about Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. They bring you our Thursday shows. This is some of the best beef in the country, bar none. Sean built this out of a passion product. It's kind of turned into a business there at Sagrera Farms because they do it so well. Every single cow on that farm is part of a genetic process that takes 3 years. They're raised on grass, finished on grain, dry aged 45 days, and it creates prime Angus beef. Talking about incredible marbling, incredible tenderness, incredible flavor. It's fantastic stuff. We've had it at the Palmer House now for over a year. You can fill that freezer with half a cow, a quarter. You can fill it with the whole cow. You can split it amongst your friends, and you're going to get prime beef. I tell you all the time, the score that you're looking for is the intramuscular fat score. You're talking about 0 to 3. That's your select. That's the bottom of the barrel. But choice is about 60% of the beef out there. That's what you're going to get from about 3 to 8 on that scale. 8, 9 plus, that's prime. And Sean's got cows on his farm currently that are 12, 14, 17, 18, 20 on that scale. That's the good stuff. And that's what he's got at Sagrera Farms. If you don't like what you buy from Sagrera Farms, you don't pay for it. You don't spend a cent. There's no deposit. You go to the farm. He's got it ready for you. You bring it on home. and you've got a freezer full of tender, delicious, flavorful beef, give them a call. 225-719-1723. That's 225-719-1723. That's Sagrera Farms. They bring you our Thursday shows. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so Major League Baseball average salary rose 3.4% on opening day to a record $5.3 million. It has risen 28% under the 5-year collective bargaining agreement that expires in December.
Yep.
So an average of 5.6 annually. So does that mean a lockout is on the horizon? Take it or leave it.
I'm taking it. The lockout's coming. It has little to do with the average salary. I wonder how they count Shohei's on that, considering he's deferred $300 million of it. Do they count him as a $1 million player or a $40 million player?
Don't they have like 3 or 4 guys with that same type of contract?
Deferring contracts.
Can anybody else do that, or is just
everybody can? But you just got to have people that want to do that. Do you want to defer most of your salary to
no,
10
I don't.
years from now?
But
So
if I'm
it's
Otani, I got the Japanese money coming in.
Yeah.
I got the endorsements, the New Balance. Yeah,
it helps. It helps a lot. The lockout's coming. I'm in a salty mood about the whole thing. Like,
okay, what's going on?
The Cubs ace is out for the year, Tommy John surgery.
Already?
Their old ace. He made 2 starts. Their old ace is still coming back from Tommy John. He's not there. Their number 2 starter, who was an all-star last year, is out right now. Their top hitter, Seiya Suzuki's out. They're so hurt. They're so banged up, and their ace isn't coming back. And there's a lockout coming next year. This was the most excited I've been about a Cubs season in 9 years, and it took 2 weeks to kind of fall apart. I still think they're good. I'm still going to pay attention every day. But the fact that they've lost their ace, the guy, I would feel good with Cade Horton lining up against the Dodgers in October. He's not going to be there, and the rest of the guys aren't as good as him. So it's like you lose your best pitcher. It's tough to come back from that. Unless you're the Dodgers, you just have 4 of them. But I'm really bummed about the whole thing with Major League Baseball right now. It's a tough scene. And I'm kind of bummed about the way LSU baseball is playing. The Masters is my distraction this week. I'm locking it in.
You need an escape. This is your escape.
That's it.
Okay, so Las Vegas Raiders owner Mark Davis, he's on the news again for having a couple former, I guess you could say, disgruntled employees. They spoke out. So the Athletic Zach Kiefer, he spoke to multiple.
I read that story.
Oh, you read it? So
yep.
They basically said he doesn't know what he's doing. Quote, in a way, he's great to work for because he lets you do your thing, one former employee told him, but he's nothing like his dad. He doesn't know anything about football. He's just like a fan. So is Mark Davis going to maybe change it around after hearing this? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. He doesn't know how. He didn't do anything to earn the team. There's a very big difference between a successful business person climbing the ladder and buying a team and then a kid being handed the team.
Very
just different. Now, it can work. There's plenty of instances where the next generation has been off.
They got to care.
And look, if you don't know anything about sports, but you want to own the team and you just got to get good people around you, the problem is he doesn't do that either. So a lot of that story was about John Gruden being kind of fly by the seat of his pants guy, and Mike Mayock being hired from NFL Network as just kind of a yes man. And it's an in-depth kind of hit piece on the entire Raiders organization, which is a bummer. But Mark Davis is not qualified to run a football organization. He's qualified to have DNA from his dad.
Yeah, you know what? I never understand the owner thing where it gets to a point where, let's say they have a really good GM that builds his team up, and then the owner wants to step in and take the credit. If I was the owner, I would rather be looked at as the guy I'm smart enough to know that I'm going to delegate the power to everybody else.
That's what I would do. Give me the suite. Make sure it's stocked.
Thank you. Why does everybody want to be Jerry Jones? I don't understand. So Bryson DeChambeau told ESPN that he will play with a 5-iron that he fabricated himself with a 3D printer. So if Bryson wins the Masters, will this be the future of golf? Take it or leave it.
Leave it. Nothing he does is the future of golf. He played terrible today. He's out of the tournament. He's 9
out
shots.
Already?
I mean, he's 9 shots off the pace. He's not gonna win. He's a clown. He tries to do things that are cutting edge, and then he tries to explain them, and he can't because he's a goofball. He tries to fake being smart. He's socially awkward. He's an extremely talented golfer, and I thought he had a real chance to win this week. He no longer does. But the whole act about how he knows more than everybody else is goofy, and I don't like it.
So he's like the golf's Aaron Rodgers?
No, there's no comp to Bryson DeChambeau.
Okay.
He's
one of one.
He is. All of his irons are the same length. He took the COVID time to bulk up to be the beefiest golfer who ever lived. He's a weird guy. He's incredibly talented. He's won 2 major championships.
Okay.
But he's goofy, and every time he tries to do something that's super cutting edge, I just laugh.
All right, well, that's it for Take It or Leave It.
He also designed an iron that was concave so that, or no, convex, so that if you hit it on the toe, it's just a goofy thing. I don't know.
He's like a Mad Hatter or something over here.
He's weird. But he played terrible today, so hate to see that. John Rahm's playing terrible today. Hate to see that. Really love to see that, in fact. But I'll give you master updates tomorrow. May check in from Augusta as well. Get you caught up, get you ready for LSU and Ole Miss tomorrow. We'll have more LSU football. Preston Guy will join us. So excited for tomorrow's show on a Friday. If you missed any of today's show, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Talked about Virgil Osbury's comments on Matt's show yesterday and Jay Johnson's response to that on LouisianaSports.net, which you can read there. Talked a little LSU football. Talked some LSU baseball as well as some Saints. Catch it all on demand. Matt's going to drive you home next on AFR. We'll see you tomorrow for a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Love wrapping things up, telling you about my friends at Marucci. Go by and take a tour at Marucci. Such a cool spot here in Baton Rouge. Such a gym in Baton Rouge. It's the official bat of Major League Baseball. How hard must it be to go from a backyard shed, just three guys trying to make a bat, to the official bat of Major League Baseball in 22 years? Well, if you'd like to learn that story, they'll tell it to you on the campus tour. If you'd like to learn and see where they make 1,200 bats every single day, they'll take you on that tour. Take your youth baseball team on that tour. Take your youth softball team on that tour. Take your family and go see that tour. Go by yourself. It's such a cool tour to take over at Marucci. You can get tickets at maruccisports.com/campus-tour. And I remind you every single day that a ticket to that tour comes with a 20% discount in the campus tour store as well as the Hitter's House. You can go in there and take some hacks, see where the big league bats are born. Of course, that's right here in Baton Rouge at Marucci.